So it's day 2 of Infosec 2008, and we've come to the Portcullis Arms to talk to Clive of Portcullis Security about Infosec 2008. Clive, what's been the big talking points of Infosec so far?
Well, as usual, it's always the keynote seminars, not the stands at the exhibition, but the issue-based discussion led through the keynotes. That's what everyone seems to come for.
And so this show is moving next year. It's moving to Earl's Court from here. What sort of things do you think people are looking for next year, which perhaps they haven't found this year then?
I think when the show moves, it needs to change. It needs to respond to the way that the industry is going. And the industry is no longer interested in plug-and-play solutions to all their problems. They don't work. They're interested in sharing of information. 8 or 9 years ago when I came into this industry, it was very covert, very cloak and dagger. Nobody spoke to anybody else about how they solved anything in case they had a good idea and let it out the bag. They've learned over that best part of a decade that the best way to actually fight cybercrime is to work together, to communicate, to share ideas about what solutions we're using and maybe learn from each other. And I think the show needs to do more of that when it moves down the road.
So it's more about sharing and networking and
very much so.
Talking and issue-based stuff,
and less looking for product solutions, which often aren't really anything. They're not the panacea that they're led to be.
Okay.
They alone aren't enough.
And just talking to people yesterday, some of the hot topics seems to be around constantly around people losing data through employees losing laptops and all this sort of thing.
Oh.
They're the sort of common themes and things that...
Without doubt, as a result of the HMRC loss back in November, that's still one of the top topics. I don't think it's long before you actually see a consumer show, maybe attached to Infosec, for individuals, for the end user, about protecting their identity and protecting that of their children. Because none of them trust their bank to do it, and none of them trust their government to do it, so they'll try and get it done themselves.
And it's interesting, isn't it, how that's become a much bigger issue in quite a short period of time. Up until the HMRC scandal, then...
All it took was one big event, big enough for people to imagine how serious it could have been if that information actually got into the wrong hands. And that one event kicked everybody into touch. So we really should be thanking HMRC for a wake-up call that was relatively bloodless. As far as we know, it was lost, not stolen. So we had a good wake-up call, and we've had a reminder of what the potential costs of bad IT security could be without actually having to pay the price. So we should be thanking them, really.
Okay, excellent. And what about for businesses? Because I guess employees are also consumers and end users as well. Is that where the risks are for them? Is it through their employees?
Oh, undoubtedly. One of the greatest weaknesses or chinks in the armour of IT security has always been the fallibility of human beings. And no matter how much you try and train people to put in place the encryption and the other tools that should protect the information, people are busy. It takes too long. They forget, they don't do it. In the future, perhaps, we need to build more of that into the software so that people don't have to remember to protect information. When they send it, it gets protected regardless of whether they ask or not. And that's probably a way to try and reduce the errors that users inevitably make.
Well, thank you very much for your hospitality at Portcullis Arms.
Not at all, my pleasure.
And I think we should have a toast for St George's Day.
Happy St George's.
Happy St George's.
Cheers.
Cheers.